Hi everyone, I'm Sharita Knobloch, your Army Wife Network owner and commander. Welcome to my crazy closet. Hooray, right? It's real life here up in the Knobloch household for Army Wife Network. And I'm in my closet because it cuts down a little bit on the echo and also keeps it from if the dog barks, we don't have to worry about that. So today I am really looking forward to this weekly installment of our MilSpouse Empowerment Moment. It is a topic that I am very passionate about and that I have lived. And today we'll be talking about depression, anxiety, and MilSpouse mental health. So, the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I've been there, done that, and I'm getting ready to start work on my dissertation. There's a huge binder back here on the floor, like it is literally like this thick, and it's like a tenth of the research I'll have to be doing for my literature review for my dissertation. So get excited. You're probably going to be hearing about this a lot over the next 18 to 36 months. But the reason that I'm so passionate about it is because I've been there and done that when it comes to depression and anxiety. As I was doing some research for my dissertation, just starting things out, I found an article published in the Armed Forces Society Journal, and this was from back in 2012, so I can only imagine how the statistics have changed since that time in the last 8 years that we've continued to have a pretty high op tempo for combat deployments. The article said that depression impacts 19% of military spouses, which is 3 times that of their civilian counterparts. 19% of us, you, me, our battle buddies, 19% depressed, suffering from depression at some point in our MilSpouse journey. During deployment, those go up and increases 1.24 times that number, and upwards of 25% of military spouses suffer from anxiety or depression. So 1 in 4, possibly, we've got 4 folks watching now, Amber, Marin, and Annika. Hi, ladies. So 1 out of the 4 of us probably have some version of anxiety and depression, and I would say that was me. So I want to share a little bit about my story. I think as MilSpouses, we are all about the keep calm and soldier on, the suck it up buttercup, take a knee, drink some water, and all those other super fun euphemisms that MilSpouses are the strongest people I know. Like, we are so amazingly strong. But I've realized in my 10 plus years of loving my soldier that sometimes the strongest thing I can do is to ask for help. I realized I've struggled with anxiety and depression for a lot of my life, probably a lot of anxiety, and I didn't know it. I didn't know what I didn't know. So, since becoming a MilSpouse, it got more intense. And so let's flash back 3 years ago, almost to the day. I just had my second child, so birthed Malik, and was coming out of that, learning how to be a mom of 2, a MilSpouse to a ranger instructor. And gosh, it was so hard. I was tired all the time and I was really emotional. And yeah, like, hey, I just had a baby. Of course, that's pretty natural, right? But the question is, was that normal or has it been ongoing? And so I didn't understand that it wasn't how we were supposed to feel until my son, when he was 5 months old, so that July in 2017, he got bronchitis as a 5 month old. Really freaked me out. Everybody that has kiddos knows how intense and how worrisome that can be when our kids get sick. But in the seasons prior to that, I had just been really stressed, really anxious about everything. And I am a strong woman, just like probably every single one of you watching now. And I just white knuckled through it. Just the keep calm and soldier on. I tried to eat well and work out and learn and study and pray and did gratitude journals and just grit my teeth and white knuckle, like, I can get through this. And it was so exhausting. It was like my anxiety was similar to always having a radio or a TV on in the background, playing those like things on repeat of just things that should be worried about. And on moments where I wasn't worried, I was worried that I wasn't worried. Like that's how intense it was. Let me give you an example, and then we'll go back to my son and his bronchitis. So let's say my daughter, let's say she was in preschool then, she would come to me and say, Mom, I had a headache. Or Mom, I don't feel good. Mom, I have a headache. She would come to me, I'd feel her head, she'd have a fever. Most people who aren't necessarily struggling with mental illness would be like, okay, my daughter has a headache and a fever. Let's watch her. She doesn't feel well. That's the natural part of life. Me, I would immediately, like, my brain would just like totally take off. And I would think, fever, headache, what if she has meningitis? And I'm not saying that to be funny because my brain really thought like that. It was like the train had left the station and I was just standing there on the platform like, what am I supposed to do with this? It would take me so long to recover and it would just derail my entire day. And my anxiety, my depression would manifest as anger. It wouldn't come out as, gosh, I'm really worried, but it would come out as like, oh my gosh, I was mean. I was so mean to my husband. And thank the Lord, he is such a gracious man and forgave me and loved me through my mess and my junk. But I didn't realize that wasn't normal, that wasn't necessarily okay. And I wasn't supposed to feel like that all the darn time. So fast forward, my son's 5 months old. He gets bronchitis, take him to the doctor, and he's on the up and up. But I was just so anxious that I was just going to look in his crib and he was going to be dead, or that I wasn't doing things right, or I was failing as a mother, or just all these thoughts. And so we were stationed remotely at the time. So we all shared the same doctor, family practitioner, and we went to Malik's follow-up appointment. He's on the up and up doing better, but the doctor, he was a really good guy. He just looked at me and he was like, looks like your son's doing well. We'll continue to watch him. He just looked over at me. He's like, how are you doing? And friends, I just lost it, like sobbing hysterically, just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm so afraid. I'm so sad. Like it was so intense. And do you know what he said right then? He looked at me and he did not say, here's what he did not say. He did not say, suck it up, buttercup, you're a fail, anything like that. He was like, okay, well, let's make an appointment for a couple of days. Let's continue the conversation and let's get you some help. What? And so from that moment on, started a new trajectory in my life that this wasn't the way I was supposed to feel. And finally asking for help. It wasn't a matter of me not wanting to ask for help. I just didn't know that this was an issue in my life. I just thought this was life. That's just how I should feel. But the result of that doctor's appointment, that conversation, was I had major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and I was able to start getting some help for that. And that was medication and some counseling, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a moment. And when you think of depression and anxiety, the American Psychological Association, the APA, has a big fancy book, and they have all kinds of diagnoses, and they have disorder at the end. And I think looking at it from the outside looking in, we look at disorder and it seems very broken and very gross. But I want to encourage you that if you're in that position, don't be intimidated by disorder. Just look at it like it says, disorder. Our body is not in the order on track that it's supposed to be, and that is okay. And it can happen. It can be genetic. You know, my family is predisposed to anxiety and depression, my family of origin. It can also be seasonal and situational. How do you know? How do you know if you're struggling with depression or anxiety or some other mental health issue in your MilSpouse journey? First, you want to think about if it's recurrent and frequent. So there's a lot of different definitions of what that looks like, but if it's something that you're like, this has happened for a long time, or it's been like this for the last few weeks, and I just don't feel like myself, that might be worth looking into. when it comes to depression, feelings of hopelessness or sadness, tearfulness, high levels of emotion, depression can also manifest not necessarily as just like sadness, but depending on your personality, like my personality is a go, fight, win, do all the things. So I was still doing all the things, but I wasn't having a lot of joy in that anymore. And so sometimes it comes out as anger. It comes out as trying to over control things, trying to find joy. It really messes with your sleep. Goodness, like falling asleep took forever when I was depressed, when I was anxious. Just sleeping was like effort. Like I was so tired, but I couldn't sleep. It was weird. Um, Thinking about your appetite, weight loss, weight gain, things like that. Anxiety, restlessness. It's not an exact science, and it's going to look different for everyone. But there's 3 things that I would encourage you to do if you find yourself in that position where you're like, this sounds kind of familiar to me, right? So first, like I said, talk to a doctor. Find a good one. There is no shame. Like, I want to take away the stigma of, gosh, I should be strong enough to deal with this, or I'm a failure because I need help, or what if I mention this and it messes with my husband's career? I know as MilSpouses, that's a concern. And because of my generalized anxiety disorder, my major depressive disorder, we weren't able to go to Alaska. Why? I'm not entirely sure, but really it worked out because Fort Bliss is our jam and we have best friends here. That's a story for another time, but your mental health is more important than your duty station. Okay. And I want you to hear that from my heart. Talk to a doctor. Like I said, when I met with Steven, Dr. Stevens, he looked at me and he did not say, fix it, like keep trying, try harder. He essentially was like, let's try softer. Let's try something new. His exact words were, let me say, Sharita, that you are not alone in this. I see many military spouses for this exact same thing, and we will take care of you. If you don't have a primary care doctor that responds to you like that, advocate for yourself. Find someone that will. Talk to your doctor and say, I just don't feel like myself. I feel like there's more to life than me feeling like blah or being angry or cranky or stressed all the darn time. And then next, don't be afraid of medication. I joke about my happy pills. I've been on them for just shy of 3 years now, and I am a better person for it. I have joy. I can look at this smile. Like, this is a genuine smile. This is not my Facebook Live smile. This is my Sharita heart gets to share with MilSpouses about her journey smile. And this journey, I don't think I said this at the beginning, but sharing my story, it is not about sympathy. I don't want you to be like, oh, poor Sharita. I want it. This is not about sympathy. This, my friends, is about solidarity. You're not alone. So don't be afraid to try medications. Sometimes it takes a few tries to find the one that fits really well with you. It might take a minute, and I was really blessed. The first medication we tried, I'm on Celexa, generic citalopram, 20 milligrams. I'm going to be very honest with you, been on there almost 3 years. And the doctor said, hey, might have to try a little bit, but we got lucky. It was the first try, and he said it would probably take 4 to 6 to 8 weeks for me to see a marked difference. I'm not even joking, guys. 48 hours. It's like the radio blaring in the background of my head, always being like, worry, 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 freak out, freak out, freak out, stress, 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 just like shut off. And I literally was like, what is this? Is this how I'm supposed to function? Like, I have more energy now because I'm not like fighting these feelings or trying to like suck it up and power through it and using all my energy on chemical disturbances in my brain. And so my happy pills, like they just slow my brain down just enough so that I can think a little more rationally. So that when my daughter comes to me and says, Mom, I have a headache. And I'm like, oh gosh, you have a fever. I literally can be like, headache and fever. Okay, let's watch her. Let's pray for her. Let's hope she gets better. Trust my mom gut instead of getting online and Googling all the things and convincing myself that I'm failing or something horrible is about to happen, right? So try out some new meds. It might take a few tries, but my goodness, it has been life-changing for me. And once again, there is no shame in that. If it's going to give you balance, help you live the way you feel like you're called to live, make that happen, right? And so finally, I'm biased, but I'm hopefully going to be a future counselor someday. And I think everybody in the world can benefit from counseling, whether you've got a huge rucksack of baggage from your childhood or previous relationships or trauma or whatever, or just being a human. Man, we all have junk. So I've been seeing a counselor on a pretty regular basis for about 3 years almost now, and it started out, it was every week. And now I see my counselor every other week, and I just show up and I'm just like, hey, Kia, what's up? And I'm just like, bleh. I just like word vomit all the things and I leave lighter. So some people might say, well, my husband's a great listener. I have great battle buddies. And that is so good and so important. But here's what makes counseling unique. When you go to a counselor, a good counselor, it's a one-way relationship. This is for me, it's the only relationship in the world that is literally all about me. And that might sound selfish, but when we are holding down the home front, taking care of babies, working on our careers, loving our soldiers, we got to take care of ourselves. So I go to my counselor, and when I leave, I take nothing with me. When you're meeting with a battle buddy for coffee or talking with your husband, you're both bearing each other's burdens. So I hand my battle buddies, I hand Marin and Annika and Brandy and Joanna and Caitlin, Megan, I hand them my stuff and they take it from me, but I also take some things back from them, right? So that's a mutual relationship. Counseling is a one-way relationship where you just go dump your stuff, you leave it in the corner, and you kind of get to start fresh every time. Or they help you work through stuff that you've been carrying for years, right? And I'm so thankful that the military has such great systems in place. Of course, you have options through civilian. You can get a referral if you're TRICARE Prime. We have TRICARE Select, so I get to pick where I go. I do have a tiny little copay with that, but for me, it's worth it. You can also get connected through your church. Military One Source, if you're a dependent. In DEERS, you can get free counseling from Military One Source online. So it's Military One Source online. You can get counseling from your closet if you need to, right? Chaplains, family life centers, military family life centers, so MFLAC. There's so many options. And I want to encourage you that if you're in this season where you're just like, I don't feel like myself, life is really intense, I'm feeling really heavy or really anxious or really weary, friends, reach out and get some help. There's so many resources out there, and I'm thankful to share my journey. Again, it's not about sympathy, it's about solidarity. I'm so passionate about MilSpouse mental health, especially from anxiety and depression, because been there, done that. Still living it, but hey, counseling, prayer, medication, good practitioners, they're here and they've got my 6, and we here at Army Wife Network have got your 6. So if you identify with any of these things, you can check out our blog. I've written a few posts about it. We've got Hope for the Warriors, Real Warriors campaign, a lot of folks, great mental health resources there that we can direct you to that, hear more stories. Or you can also email us directly. I respond to every email personally. So if you're like, Sharita, I really liked your video. However, I have no idea where to start. Send us an email, info@armywifenetwork.com. You can check us out online, across social media. We are here for you. We're rooting for you. Take care of yourself. And remember, we don't have to white knuckle this. Really, that's my only regret with this whole process is it took so long for me to realize what I needed or how to get help. So you don't have to white knuckle. You don't have to pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Sometimes the strongest thing we can do is to ask for help. I thank you for tuning in and hope to catch you in future MilSpouse empowerment moments. God bless you all.